What's up everyone, welcome to Kai's channel. Today we'll be reviewing this, the Star GaoGaiGar option set, the Ultimate King of Brave version. Now most of you might already know this is a re-release with a bit of recoloring of its previous version. So we'll be reviewing this and then do a quick comparison between this version and the old version to see which one is better. Without wasting any more time, let's get started. So coming right out of the box is the first layer. Now the first layer, as you can see, are all these green parts where the top half is the display stand and its accessories, while on the bottom row, those are the clear parts for the engines of the Stealth Gao 2. Here we have is the second layer. Now the second layer mainly consists of the Stealth Gao 2, as you can see right there in the center, nice and big, and then you have the two engines that's on the top left and right corners. And next to that, you have the Phantom Ring and also the Protect Ring right next to them. And at the bottom, on the left, you have is the interchangeable head for the GaoGaiGar. And on the right, you have the interchangeable face that you can change onto the head that we shown just now. And the bottom row, obviously that's the Gatling driver, the upper piece, and the lower piece. So let's take them out of the box and put them together. So here we have is the Stealth Gao 2. The overlook is amazing with the matte black on the plane and also the gloss black on the engine. Not sure why they didn't use the matte black for the engine as well to unify the entire coloring. The engine is just placed on the Stealth Gao, so there's actually no locks that locks into in place. So you must be very careful when moving the Stealth Gao. Otherwise it will fall off very easily. So just be careful on that. As for the Protect and Phantom Rings, they are now an apparent reflective gold, which is also the selling point for this re-release. Now another thing to point out is that the two front parts, that's the hands of the GaoGaiGar, is not actually included in this set. So you need to take it from the GaoGaiGar set to complete the Stealth Gao 2. Which honestly they could have just included in this set so that we can display both the Stealth Gao 1 and 2 next to each other. Next is the Gatling driver, which is a plastic orange with a dark gray and reflective silver for the hydraulic part. The driver tip is similar with the dark gray and also a reflective silver as well. I was actually expecting more recoloring on this Gatling driver, but it seems like it's the same as the old one. Now let's combine this with the GaoGaiGar first and then we'll go through the gimmicks. Here we have is the GaoGaiGar combined with the Stealth Gao 2. And we also replaced the head with the one that came with the set. So you can definitely see the antenna is now the reflective gold, which is aligning to the two gold rings on the engines, which is very nice. Also because of the engine size and weight, we have to put it on the stand to support its weight, which is usually not my practice because usually I would have it stand on its own to display, but here in this case, we can't be done and it's too risky. So that's why we have it on the display stand right off the bat. Also, if you haven't noticed already, after putting on the Stealth Gao 2, the size of it, it's massive. The width of it, it's 40 cm wide and 40 cm tall from top of the tip all the way down to the bottom of the stand, so it's basically a square. So you need to clear quite a room if you're going to display this on your display shelf. Not to mention the Golden Hammer, it's not mounted onto the GaoGaiGar yet. As for gimmicks, there isn't too much. First, on the Stealth Gao, there is actually the thruster part that you can move a bit up and down, but nothing much here. As for the engine, you can actually remove the black part and it will reveal the inner details of it, which is done very well. Not to mention that it's very delicate, so be very careful with that. But that's not all, there's actually these green pieces here that you can actually put onto it, replacing the black part that we took off. This is to simulate that when the engine's on and you can see through it, which looks very great like this on the GaoGaiGar, and I personally prefer displaying it like this. Moving on, we have is the Phantom Ring that you can take off from the engine, and with the help of a little connector piece, it can now be mounted onto the right hand of the GaoGaiGar to form the Phantom Magnum. As for the other ring, very similar to the Phantom Ring that we just spoke of, take it off and mount it onto the left hand with the help of another connecting piece to form the Protect wall. Last but not least is the Gatling driver. All you have to do is to put these two pieces together and that's it. Now the hydraulics that you see here does actually compress, which is really realistic. And also the tip of it, if you press down, that 3 points claw will actually open up, so it's pretty neat there. And you can actually pull it to close it back up. When mounting to the hand, you need to remove the big hand that came with the GaoGaiGar completely in order to mount to it. But if you're actually using the small hand, it actually fits right through it. Not only that, but this set actually comes with a little supporting piece that you can actually support the shoulder joint so that the shoulder doesn't become loose when mounting the Gatling driver in mid-air for a long time, which is very helpful. And that's it with the gimmicks. Now the stand is actually completely green, while the base of it is a rough semi-transparent green, and you can see that very nice logo right in front of it. As for the supporting arm, it's a transparent green which you cannot adjust the height for it, and this stand does support both the Stealth Gao 2 and also the GaoGaiGar after combining, so by changing the connector joint, you can display either one. Now there's also this little piece that you can actually put to support the golden hammer once connected to the GaoGaiGar, which is very useful, but not sure why that it's actually in black instead of green like the rest of the set, which I have no idea why Bandai would actually do this. As for conclusion, what do I think about this piece? This piece is a definitely must get if you like the GaoGaiGar. Not only does the Stealth Gao 2 makes the GaoGaiGar look so much cooler, but it also comes with the Gatling driver, which technically you can actually mount the dividing driver that came with the GaoGaiGar set and the Gatling driver on this one, so you can mount the two hands with the drivers. The only issue with this set is that the engine is actually really big and it's pretty heavy, but there's actually no locking mechanism to the wings, so it's actually very dangerous having it around. And if you actually bump upwards while posing or changing hands, then the entire thing can actually come off easily and drop to the floor, causing damage to the little details inside, which is definitely not what we want. So what I do suggest everyone who's viewing this is that whatever you do, remove the two engines from the GaoGaiGar first before you do anything. Aside from that, the two engines actually very heavy, so the GaoGaiGar can't really stand on its own, and even if it can, it's actually very risky and I don't recommend it. So if you're gonna mount the Star GaoGaiGar option set, be sure to mount it onto the display stand as well. Not to mention that having it mounted to the display stand greatly limits the posing on this piece. So with that, I'll actually give this option set a 9 out of 10. But aside from the issues that I mentioned that you must be careful with, other than that, it's actually really a great piece. So definitely go out and get one before the price starts to shoot up by the reseller. And that's it with the review. Now the second half of this video will be comparing between this set and also the one that came out 5 years ago and see what's the difference and also which one is better. Now let's start off with the Stealth Gao first. Overall, other than the gold ring, which is obviously much nicer on the new one than the old one, but aside from that, it's basically the same. Moving on to the inner details of the engines, again it's relatively the same except if you notice the gold and silver coloring on the new one is slightly brighter than the old one. But other than that, it looks the same to me. As for the green effects, on the old one it's just a transparent green clear parts that doesn't have any gradients to it, but the new one has this semi-reflective gradient color to it which looks very nice. As for the Gatling driver, both of them looks exactly the same, so there's no difference that I can tell. Now for the shoulder supporting piece, the only difference is that it is now a transparent green instead of a transparent white. Now I really have no idea why it cannot be black to blend in with the Stealth Gao to look it so much better instead of what you can see right now, which is really noticeable, so not sure why it cannot be in black instead. As for the head, it actually looks the same, with the exception of the antenna, which is now a reflective gold on the new one. As for the mouthpiece, there's actually a slight difference if you notice. On the new one, it's actually a pearl white, while the old one, it's a plastic white. So basically very subtle changes on the head. The stand is obviously looking completely different with the color of the old one being in black and the new one in green. Honestly though, for me, the old version black looks so much better matching the rest of the GaoGaiGar, and the new one looks kind of out of place and doesn't match with the GaoGaiGar at all. Now, not that the new one isn't nice, but seriously Bandai, can't the supporting piece for the Golden Hammer be green as well, instead of what it is right now, which is black and it's sticking out very oddly. And that's it with the comparison. Honestly, both the set has their goods and bad, with the old one generally fits the GaoGaiGar more, but the new one has the recoloring that looks really nice, like the reflective gold and also the gradient green effect piece for the engine. But the color of the stand is very questionable. So the final verdict on this is that if you already own the older version like I do, especially when I bought it at double of the original price, then there's really no need for you to replace it with the new version, as it's fundamentally the same unless you want those nice looking gold rings and also the gradient green parts. And also the green stand if you like it. However, if you do, then this means that you also have to replace the Golden Hammer later on, because the reflective gold is on the Golden Hammer as well. Therefore, for me, if I have to choose between the two, I'll actually choose the old version, simply because of the color of the stand that matches with the entire GaoGaiGar. As for the gold, although it looks really nice, it doesn't really match with the gold on the Galleon and also on the Drill Gao. If only they have actually re-released the version with the Galleon and also the Drill Gao with the reflective gold, then maybe this set will actually greatly matches the entire GaoGaiGar. However, they didn't do that, so that's why it doesn't match really well on it. And that's it with today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it and find it useful. As always, do support me by hitting that like button and also subscribe to my channel for more videos. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.